Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dale Stonick, Director of Safety here at ACE. Hope everyone's doing well on Halloween, or I should say spooky afternoon for everyone. It is kind of overcast here in Cincinnati. This afternoon, joining me is Jason O'Brien, our Hours of Service Manager. How are you doing, Jason?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me, Dale.
And our special guest, friend of the show, Kevin Gibson, Director of Business Development.
Thanks, Dale.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started here, and we'll go over our numbers for the month. I'll get started with our CSA scores for ACE BME. Unsafe scores for that went up a point. We are now at 64 percentage points on our unsafe. We are 1 point away from going over in that basic. I am very concerned about that. This last month, we've had 8 unsafe violations that have hit our drivers. We will see how that affects us this Saturday when new scores are released. I do know we did bring in more points than what is going out, so we will wait and see how that pans out. Hours of service, we did see a percentage increase on that. We are now at 72% on our hours of service. Vehicle maintenance went up 1 point to 81. Not surprised. We had a very rough September with the brake check week. Had a lot of points come in that month. Driver fitness, we did see an increase in that. It moved up from 0 to 7%. Crash, continue to see good results on that. We went down 1 percentage point to 27. And drug and alcohol basic is at 2%. On our WIN government secure side, our scores are the following. Unsafe, we're at 0. That's the best you can be at. That's great. Good job, everyone. Hours of service, we saw a 2% increase on that. We're now at 20%. Vehicle maintenance saw a 3% decrease. We're at 33%. Driver fitness at 0, and crash went down 2 percentage points to 1. Another good job, everyone. On our current claims costs, we're continuing seeing really good work out there from everyone. I appreciate everyone. What you're doing out there, you're making us shine. Excellent. Our claims so far, this is estimated through September. We are at 143,892, so a little under 144,000, well below our budget of 238. I can't stress of how well everyone's doing, but I don't want people to get complacent. We still have 2 months left to go this year. Let's make sure we're doing what we need to do, proper following distance, 4 to 6 seconds, checking our mirrors every 5 to 8 to avoid those large accidents that really drive claim costs. The biggest claims that I've seen so far in the last 4 to 6 weeks are hitting fixed objects, so let's make sure we're getting out and looking. We had a driver who hit a gate here about a month ago, an electronic gate. I know when I spoke to him, he didn't think the damage was much, but once you strike someone else's property, it's really up to them if they want it replaced, and that's what they want. It's hard to argue. You hit the gate. So the other thing is make sure you're also, if you're using a guide, it is a trusted guide. We did have a driver who was backing into a customer's bay, and the door overhang was kind of low, and they ended up hitting the door, and the guide basically stepped away, and the driver lost contact with the guide. At that point, obviously, you need to stop what you're doing, and, you can't continue backing if you lose your guide. So, like I said, just don't get complacent. The other thing I want to talk about right now is our clean inspections for the month of October here. So I'm going to go ahead and read off people's names, give a shout-out to everyone who's doing a great job getting those clean inspections. Sean Bolden, Christopher Connor, Connie Coleman, Frank Allgood, Ivan Caradero, Moises Rosa Tostada, Daniel Telefor, Mark Watson, and Robert Williams. Those are all the ACE BME drivers. Great job. And on our government WIN secured side, Joey Pierce and Carlton Jones. So I appreciate that, drivers. Thank you for doing that. Since it is Halloween, I do want to mention some tips here on safe driving with potentially a lot of people out and about, making sure we don't have any accidents with either children or pedestrians. So if you're in a residential neighborhood, I would ask that you go slower than the posted speed limit. Give yourself that extra time to react to children who may run out into the street. Watch for children walking on sidewalks, medians, and curbs. It might be harder to see them this evening if they're in dark costumes. Look for children crossing the street. They may not be paying attention. You're going to have to be the professional driver and anticipate that type of activity. Be careful entering and exiting driveways and alleys. Turn your headlights on to make sure you're more visible even during the day. And broaden your scanning by looking further left than right to give yourself that additional time to prevent an accident. All right. The other thing I do want to mention a little bit about is with vehicle maintenance. As I said earlier, we had a rough September with vehicle maintenance. October was a little bit better, but we're still seeing drivers with issues. It really comes down to brakes, lights, and tires. If you are looking at those items, that is 60% of all the vehicle maintenance points that we are bringing on. We did have a driver in October who was written up for defective lights. He was also missing a windshield wiper on his passenger side window. You got to address those things immediately. You can't wait until you get back home or, end of the week. If they're defective, take care of them immediately. You're going to be written up, giving your points to you and points to the company. So with that, I would like to mention if you have any questions, comments, or safety tips, please hit *3. With that mentioned, I would like to turn it over to Kevin. Kevin, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Dale. I appreciate you having me. It's always good to be able to come on and talk to the fleet, especially when we're, having, in my years here, and I think if we even threw it back years prior, one of the best years that we've ever had here at ACE. Just a couple of highlights. Won't go into too specifics as far as numbers, but our revenue per mile is up year over year substantially. Our load count is up. Our revenue per load is up. So, essentially we're moving more freight, we're getting a higher rate, and we're generating more revenue, hopefully for everyone out there. It keeps the company healthy, keeps the drivers, keeps the owner-operators healthy as well. One thing, too, our claim number, our cargo claims, those are down, which those numbers, greatly impact our bottom line to be able to, to run a healthy business, to keep things moving in the right direction. It sounds a little bit cliche, but for somebody like me that's going out talking to agents, talking to customers, talking to drivers, safety does sell. It makes a huge difference. The customers notice. Allows me to be able to go into customer to play offense, to be able to get out in front of CSA scores, to talk about the safety initiatives that we have here, the alerts and the things. I know you guys are inundated with information on that, but, looking at the numbers and see the way that we're trending and the way things are going, I think it's working. I think it's effective. So kudos to Dale and the safety team, and kudos to you for for picking the freight up, getting it where it's going, and getting it there safe and on time with no claims. That's great. It's good news to report. Lastly, along those lines, I would just like to encourage everybody. We have a lot of momentum. A lot of good things are going on here with our company. This has been one of the best years that I can remember, definitely in the last 10, 15 years in trucking, period. So been a good year for everybody. As Dale said, we can't be complacent. We have to keep trying to find new leads. We have to keep trying to find new owner-operators, new agents, come up with new programs to help everyone be successful. So if you run across a customer lead, if you run across an owner-operator referral, an agent referral, anything that can help us grow the business and put more freight into our system and make everyone more successful, I encourage you all to please, reach out to me, reach out to operations, reach out to Dale, anyone here in Cincinnati, so we can chase that down and the one lead that we don't chase will be the one that will come to fruition and be something big for the company. So thanks for having me. Thanks to everybody for the job that you're all doing. Thanks for being leased here to A-Storm. We're glad you're here. Glad to have you. If I don't talk to all of you, I hope you all have a nice, happy Halloween, good holiday season. Thanks, Dale.
Thank you, Kevin. We did have a pretty successful year. Do you anticipate next year to be as good, or what's the forecast for that?
Initially, some of the customers here, especially in the Cincinnati market, have indicated that things are a little bit slower now. Depending on who you talk to, some will say that could be because of the elections. Again, depending on who you talk to, how that impacts our business. Holiday seasons are generally slow.
Yeah.
So, right now I think it is a little bit softer in some areas. But, again, that just points that we all have to work harder. We all have to be more diligent and try to find the leads to get the freight in the system.
And I guess it's really dependent on which segment you're in. I noticed like our wind segment this year started off slow, but now it's picked up, and it just, depends what you're hauling, I guess.
True, and that's one good thing about Doran, about Bennett, is as diverse as we are. We have a large network. We have a lot of different commodities that we can haul, so I think this year, more so than in prior, we had even some wind guys during the slow season that came in and picked up a step deck or hauled general freight. And those were all good things to see. Really a team effort, and I think our results will show it at the end of the year.
Cool. Thank you, Kevin.
Sure.
All right, just want to remind everyone, *3 for questions, comments, or safety tips. We will take that at the end of our show here today. So *3. I'd like to turn it over to Jason O'Brien. Jason, how are you doing today?
I am wonderful, Dale. Thank you again for having me on. How are you drivers doing? I just wanted to mention a couple things, and I know I kind of talk about it, it seems like every month as personal conveyance, and just how that's kind of supposed to be used, and how we're using it sometimes inappropriately. It continues to be one of our biggest violations for hours of service, and what's frustrating about that is it's completely preventable and controllable, and I'd like to see that kind of go away to where we're using it appropriately so we're not getting those violations. So again, just mainly for short en route trips, or lodging or entertainment, and there's some other select circumstances you can use it for, but that's primarily what it's for. We do have some drivers that will try to unload, and then after they unload, they'll use personal conveyance to drive home, and that may be like upwards of 8 hours or so. And personal conveyance is not designed for those 8-hour trips to go home. Just like on a paper log, if you were driving home, you would log that time, and you would need to do that on e-logs as well. That's not really changed. So you have to account for that time as regular driving time rather than personal conveyance. And then another thing is if you do use personal conveyance and you've already driven about 11 hours for the day, we don't want you to really go over that 11 hours too much using personal conveyance. So once you get to that 11-hour limit, we're kind of asking you if you kind of stick it around there, stop driving for the day and get some rest. So just with that, I'd just like you guys to continue to be smart with how we use personal conveyance and keep that going into the future.
You had something else you wanted to talk a little bit about today? Was it reefs across America?
Well, yeah. Last month I did also talk about reefs across America. We had some information, and I told everybody kind of what it entails, but basically we're putting reefs on the Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia. That's where Bennett has their focus. Ours is going to be for the National Cemetery that's in Georgia, and we're working to get 20,000 of those graves covered for our nation's heroes. It's a great way to honor them, and last month I did not have the information. It wasn't established yet on how to donate. If you would like to donate, agents can contact Kathy Newman here at Doran, and if you're a driver, you can contact Cindy Gully. It can be a one-time deduction, or you can also make donations by check. You would make it out to the Taylor Foundation, and then you'd just send it to our Doran address, 1601 Blue Rock Street, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45223, with the attention of Kathy Newman. And we'll make sure that money gets to where it needs to go so we can honor those fallen soldiers.
Oh, thank you so much. Anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, absolutely. There is one more thing I'd like to discuss a little bit. Right now, we do have dash cams available. We've had the Falcon Eyes for quite some time. They're available for $129. It's a great camera that comes with everything you need right out of the box to get it hooked up. Plugs into 12-volt. It has an SD card, 170-degree viewing angle out of the front. And with that, you can order those just by giving me a call. I'll get one sent out to you. The other thing that we have going on right now is going to be our dash cams that are available through Keep Trucking. So if you're on Ram McNally for our e-logs and you'd switch to the Keep Trucking e-logs, we have the opportunity to get a free dash cam, and that just plugs into the Keep Trucking box, so you could have that as an option as well. If you have any questions on how to obtain those, just give me a call here at the home office, and I'll get you guys set up with dash cams. If you guys have any comments on dash cams as far as maybe somebody that you know or you have had a successful experience with having a dash cam, press *3. We'd like to hear your comments. And if you have any questions, of course, *3 and any other safety tips. So, Dale, I'll turn it back over to you.
The one quick thing I just wanted to ask you a little bit about is what's the main difference between Ram McNally app versus our Keep Trucking, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, you're talking about kind of like Coke and Pepsi. So it's two things, and they're the same flavor, but they're just a little bit different on how they taste. So with Ram McNally, one of the bigger differences is that you can have a tablet that does not have internet connectivity through like Verizon, AT&T, or Sprint, or any other cellular provider. You're able to use that tablet, and the cellular connection is purely built into the box, and that'll transmit all of the data. If you're to switch to Keep Trucking, that tablet would have to have a cellular connection. So it's important to remember that. Your tablet would have to have, Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, or whoever, and just has to have a connection to upload your logs. The box itself does also have a cellular connection, but it just reports like the vehicle metrics and stuff like that. It doesn't do the log part of things.
In your opinion, is it easier to work the Keep Trucking app versus the Ram McNally, or just your personal preference?
I would say some personal preference would come into play. The vast majority of drivers, as far as the feedback that I receive, is that Keep Trucking is super duper easy compared to Ram McNally. It's a Bluetooth connection rather than a Wi-Fi connection, so it's a lot more stable and seems to not have any issues as far as booting up when you start up your truck, whereas in a Ram McNally you might have to restart the box.
It does kind of seem like with the Ram McNally that you've sent out replacement boxes for individuals more for that particular platform than what you do on the Keep Trucking.
That is 100% true. Ram McNally boxes, I've replaced many, and I'm sure some of you guys and girls out there know that. With Keep Trucking, I've never had to replace a single box yet.
That's definitely a little bit more, I guess, convenient or a lot less frustrating for drivers.
Yeah, a lot more convenient, a lot more reliable for drivers, for sure.
All right. Well, thank you, Jason. Well, just go ahead, and if you do have a question or safety tip, *3. We do have a couple individuals in the queue, so we are going to go ahead and take on our first caller. James Campbell? James, are you on? There you go. James? Hello?
Hello?
James, this is Dale. How are you? Hello, James. We're having technical difficulties. Let's move on to Charles Wilson. Charles? There you are. Charles?
Hello.
How are you?
Yes, hello. Good, how about yourself?
I'm doing well. Do you have a question or a safety tip?
Actually, a question.
Okay.
What is safety you recommend as the traffic gets more and more out here all the time? You get into some of these larger cities and doing the speed limit is legal, but you become the slowest person on the highway in that city when you drive through. Cincinnati is a good example. You can do 55 through Cincinnati, and they'll zip by you at 70 and 65 miles an hour. You kind of become the hazard. Yeah, you become the hazard in that sense. What do you guys recommend? I mean, it's like that in a lot of other towns. It's just not Cincinnati. And sometimes I feel like I'm right at the speed limit, and I'm causing more damage or possible more harm than trying to keep with traffic with the flow. What do you guys think?
Well, I think if that's the case, if you're moving, you're in the outer lane where the slower traffic should be, you're in a far better position. Obviously, if you move into the middle lanes or out lanes where the traffic is moving faster, there's greater risk for violations, especially a speeding violation, which we talk about a lot with our drivers. We can't afford to take any more unsafe violations. It's putting us in a really bad spot with our scores. The safe thing to really do is just stay in the outer lanes with the slower moving traffic and follow the road, the road signs, and obey them.
We try to do that, and I understand, and that's true. And they still zip around you in a lot of places, even in that slow lane.
Oh.
And I feel like, man, I feel like I'm causing them to zip out into that lane and go around me, which could be worse than, trying to keep up with them at times.
Yeah. I once had a driver give me this analogy, and I think it's really true. As when you're in a commercial truck, kind of view it as you're a rock in a stream and just let the water flow around you. You continue your path and, let them do what they want to do. Don't let their impatience become a problem for you and an accident later. But I agree that on the highway, speeds have really increased where I've had individuals, pass me, and I swear they're doing 90, 95 miles per hour. It's just
right,
insane.
Exactly.
It's like they're just waiting for an accident. You could never stop in time if someone pulled out in your lane in front and you're at those high of speeds. So, but we just got to make sure we're doing what we need to do to stay safe, all right? But that's a good question, Carl. Thank you.
All right. And then I have one last one.
Okay, go ahead.
With the Keep Trucking cam. Now, I have the Keep Trucking that Jason set up for me in the truck. How does that cam? I don't have a box for that. That I know of. Is there a box in the truck that I don't know about?
Go ahead, Jason, if you want to. So Keep Trucking, the black box itself has a USB port with the camera just plugs into, and you run the wire up and mount it on the camera on your dash.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So the Keep Trucking, there's if you look at your box, and I know Dale said it was black. It could be black or gray.
Oh,
I think
right.
you have a gray one, but the internal components are the same. But if you look on the side of the box, on the opposite side that you plug in to your ECM, it'll have a USB, and that's where that camera plugs in. So the power comes from there. You don't have to plug in a separate 12-volt or anything like that. It's actually powered by the box itself.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I'll have to get with Jason to order one then on that.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you. All right. Up next is Duff.
Yes.
How are you doing today, Duff?
How you, man?
I'm doing well. What's up?
We got a couple of trucks in the last week that has got warnings on overweight on the drives.
Yep.
Down in Texas.
Yep.
And what's happening, I think, is these manufacturers up here at the tower plants are getting their metal from different manufacturers, and that weight changes.
Okay.
So we just need to try to get it out to them. They may want to raise their weights up on their
registrations, their plates.
Yeah, on their groups of tires, so they don't get caught up in that.
Okay, that's good advice.
And I got that violation-free inspection. Can I get that money donated to the driver relief fund?
We sure can.
And I challenge anybody else that got them to do the same.
That's a good challenge. I appreciate it.
Duff, this is Kevin, man. I really appreciate that. I've championed that driver relief fund for a long time, and we have probably almost quadrupled that fund in the last 3 years, and we've done a lot of good things with it. I personally have seen how that has impacted some guys. Guys that for whatever reason are unable to work and truck, and they get that assistance and they come back, and it makes a huge difference, man. That makes my day to hear you say that. I really appreciate it. I know everyone else does too. Thank you.
And I appreciate and I appreciate you bringing it back, because we usually really think heavily about that from like June to September, but it's always good to contribute to that all year round, really. But thank you, Duff.
All right, man, y'all make it happen then.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you. All right, next up, Robert. Robert, how are you doing? Oh, hold on, did we lose him? Okay. There you are, Robert. Robert. All right. Yeah. All right. I guess we're having issues with Robert. Let's go down to, we want to try Bobby? Bobby, how are you?
Hey, pretty good. How about you, Dale?
Doing well. What's up today?
Hey, I got a question on the E-Log. We were down in Texas. I do the windmill blades, and we got unloaded, and we headed home. Well, my box or my E-Logs went out, and I contacted everybody I need to. They put me on paper logs. I come home. I got the new box. They give me that Keep Trucking box.
Okay.
But they've got to put a new motor in my truck, and my mechanic tells me not to start it because he's afraid something else is, bad happened to the motor. So what I need to know is when I get the motor done and get that hooked up, am I going to have to do anything different? I heard somebody say something about you got to have an internet connection for that Keep Trucking box. Now, I got Verizon phone service, so do I need to plan on getting some kind of internet deal to make that work, or where am I at?
Hey, Bobby, this is Jason. So,
hey,
with the Keep Trucking, with the Rand McNally, are you using your phone or a tablet?
Tablet.
Is that connected to Verizon already?
Man, you're asking me the wrong question. That's what I need to know when I get that motor fixed, who I need to talk to, because I assume so.
Okay, yeah. If it has Verizon in it already, then no, all you have to do is download the app and it'll be ready to go. If you don't have a tablet that has a cellular connection, you would need to get one or potentially just use your phone for the log. So either one of those ways. But once you're ready to plug it in and get it going, just give me a call and we'll talk about what options you have and what we can do to get it going.
Okay, yeah, 'cause I bought one of those, the little tablet, the Randy McNally tablet at the Loves, to do my logs on and stuff. So I'm not sure if it's got Verizon in it or what the deal is with that. So I just need to know who I need to call and get it set up.
Yep, you can just give me a call, Jason O'Brien. So when you're ready,
all right,
call and ask for me, and we'll get you set up, man.
All right, buddy, I appreciate it.
Okay. No problem.
Thank you, Bobby.
Bye. You bet. Thanks.
Right. We are going to try Robert again. If you're ready, Pat.
Hello?
Robert?
Yeah?
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Do you have a question or a safety tip?
Well, a couple of them.
Okay.
Jason, on the Rand McNally, I'm sold on the Rand McNally because it's so easy to hook up, and it's got the built-in satellite connection, so it's great for me. Are you guys going to discontinue the Rand McNally, or is that still going to remain an option for us?
At the time, it's still an option. Should your box experience trouble and need to be replaced, or any of the new drivers that would be coming in on E-Logs, they will be on Keep Trucking. So, as long as your Rand McNally box is working, that is what you'll have for the time being.
Okay. And is there any chance of going to one of the newer Rand McNallys, like the 200?
Not at this time, no. It would just be Keep Trucking would be the only other option.
Okay, because I know some people that have used the Keep Trucking with other companies, and they eventually went away from it. The drivers just didn't like it.
Yeah.
And it was an added expense for the cell phone service, which I just use right now. When I need to send anything or do anything, I just hook up to my hotspot.
Okay. Well, yeah. Go ahead.
That was my concern. I like using the Rand McNally.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure some other people out there feel the same way that you do, especially once you've gotten used to something. It makes it a lot easier, I think, and more comfortable. Sometimes change is a necessary beast that we have to endure as far as going forward. But, again, nothing's changing for you. You'll be on Rand McNally, I would assume, for a pretty long time should nothing happen to your box. I might have a box or two here on hand that should something happen, but I would say that most likely if something happens with that box that you have, it probably will be exchanged with a Keep Trucking box.
It's just, as we said earlier, we've had a lot of issues with the RAN boxes going down and having to go out and replace them continuously for whatever reason. So we're just looking for better service options for drivers.
Okay. Well, I understand. What about Qualcomm or Omnitronics? Didn't you guys have that option at one time?
Some of our drivers do, the ones that are on the government side, but they purchased those themselves. I know to buy that device is like a $1,500 or $2,000 because you're basically buying a computer.
Yeah, if you get a used one, I think it's like $2,500.
So we can support that, but that's a little bit of capital investment for a lot of drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But it is a good system. I wouldn't kid you about it. It's good, but you're paying Omnitracks.
Yeah, you pay for them. That's true. Even the Omnitronics, they still run about. I mean, because that's what we had over at Landstar was the Omnitronics, and they were selling the 150s for about $750.
Yep.
Is what they were charging.
Yeah, the drivers that are the one that's like $2,500 is the MCP 200, and the reason that one's a lot more expensive is because it has panic buttons and panic button fobs that they are required to have in that government.
And it has the keyboard too, doesn't it?
Yep.
The built-in keyboard. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was my only concern was whether or not we would have other options besides that, the cheap one. I'm just not crazy about that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sold on Rand McNally. That's my GPS, and I've had their GPSs for years. And I've actually got one that has the direct connect, but it won't work on the box that we guys are using. That's why I asked if there was any possibility of us going to one of the, like the 150 or their 200, because those are compatible with it.
Yeah, I would just say with the amount of technical problems that we've had with the Rand McNally as a company, and I'm glad, and I'm sure they appreciate you enjoying them, but it's been too much downtime for too many drivers to continue with that system as being like our primary system. But thank you for the comments. I appreciate them.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Robert. Well, if you have any additional questions or tips, star 3. While we're waiting for an additional person to come in the queue, Jason. Oh, we have another caller?
It's Bernie.
Okay. We want to try, I guess this is Bernie. You want to try to hit that and see if we can bring the phone? Bernie?
Hello?
How are you?
Okay, guys, I'm doing real good. A little sad day today. I only got one thing to say. I'll get out of here, let the other guys talk. I wanted to thank everybody on the Fennec side and East side. I don't know half the guys that have said a prayer for my father. I'm getting broke up. Anyhow, he passed away this morning.
Oh.
So I want to thank everybody. And I'm busy right now. I'm trying to get these doubles down the road. But anyhow, I wanted to thank all the guys. I guess I don't know half of them, but they made his journey a little shorter. Okay, guys, I'll get out of here. Get out of here. Thanks.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, we'll get something sent for him. Thank you, Bernie. All right, so why don't we go ahead and get this wrapped up? Jason, I think you usually tell us this time of the month we have to turn something in.
Well, yeah, and today comes on a precarious day for inspection since it is the last day of the month. But please, if you're due this month and for your inspection, you haven't sent it in yet, please do so today so we can get you into the computer. Also send in your 90-day maintenance forms. If you guys need any types of inspection forms or maintenance forms, give me a call so I can send you a PDF, and that way we can get them into the computer.
All right. Thank you for that very good information. Before we leave, I do want to draw a $100 gift card for the drivers who had clean inspections this last month. Really appreciate you guys doing that, keeping our scores or trying to get our scores better. We want to reward those individuals who are getting the clean inspections. I know we already pay out $200, but this is just an additional $100. So, Jason, if you want to draw a name from this hat.
I would love to draw a name, but with our special guest, Kevin, here, I'm going to defer and let him pull the name.
I'm going to draw my own name. I don't know if I can see these names. Joey Pierce.
Joey Pierce. All right.
The government team, right?
Oh, yep. Hope he doesn't have to share it with Mrs. Pierce, but that's between him and Mrs. Pierce to figure out. So, all right. Well, I appreciate everybody calling in. Thank you guys for your dedication to safety. Without you doing all that hard work, it just would never come to fruition. So, thank you so much.